Hi there, Ora. How are you?
Hi, Ron. I'm well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's so great to connect to you today and to have you on Evolutionary Conversations.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm really, really grateful. I'm looking forward to our conversation. Before we begin, while we're building a little bit of traffic, I also want to take a moment to introduce to everyone our amazing guest today. Um, uh, I want to let everyone know that Ora Nadrich is the founder and president of the Institute for Transformational Thinking. And she is the author of Live True, A Mindfulness Guide to Authenticity. It was named one of the top 100 best mindfulness books of all time by Book Authority, and Says Who, which is how one simple question can change the way you think forever. She is a certified life coach, a thought coach, and mindfulness teacher, and specializing in transformational thinking, self-discovery, and mentoring new coaches as they develop their careers. She's a frequent blogger on the Huffington Post and has been featured in Mind Body Green. Uh, I just lost this. On Mind Body Green, on You Beauty, Yahoo Health, Spirituality and Health, Reader's Digest, Mama Glow, Success Conscious Lifestyle, LA Yoga, Women's Health, Psychology Today, and many others. And she has been a guest speaker on over 100 radio shows like Transformation Talk, Mental Wellness, Take Charge in Your Life. And so glad to have her on Evolutionary Conversations. So quite an introduction for
Wow.
quite
Thank you.
a being, for quite a lovely being. Great to have you.
Thank you. Again, so great to be here with you.
I wanted to begin briefly by asking a little bit about your experience at Rythmia. You had been, I know we talked a little bit before, you'd been there twice, and I'd love to hear, um, really, you had said something to me that it's something that stayed with you. And I'd love to hear about that experience a little bit. What has stayed with you, and whatever you'd like to share with people about your experience at Rythmia.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be presumptuous, but I think that anybody who walks through, I should say, the portal of Rhythmia, because it's really like going into my visualization of it is that you're entering into this. Not only is it paradisical because you really are in a paradise setting, but you're entering into a place where you know it's going to be transformative.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there as a teacher. I went there to teach my workshop, and I went there twice. And the second time I was there, Jerry had invited me in to do plant medicine. And my thoughts when I entered there, it's like never premeditate anything because you don't know what's going to happen in the moment of now.
Right.
That's the beauty of being in the present moment. So I went there as a teacher to do the workshop, and the second time I was there, Jerry invited me in to do plant medicine, and it was incredible. I had the most unbelievably beautiful, transformative experience, So it is very dear to my heart. It's a place that I hold dear and sacred to my heart, and my love for Rythmia and for Jerry is just boundless, And even when you ask me that question, when I hear Rythmia, I immediately connect to my experience there, and it was one of beauty and joy and truth, and it just was an exquisite experience.
Oh, beautiful. I agree with you. This as you called it, a portal, right? It is this clearinghouse for light workers, clearinghouse for people to become in touch with that which is true and real about themselves, and as the truth principle states, as within, so without, as above, so below, so that when we are cleaning our own house, we can then go out into the world and be the beneficial presence, and live our purpose on this planet. And this is such a perfect segue into the topics that I wanted to talk to you about today, because of your deep work with mindfulness and mindfulness practice, and bringing that to bear on what's happening in our world today. especially around politics as we come into this time of the election, talking about COVID, talking about racial injustice and the desire for a world that, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, a kind and just global society. That is predicated on us speaking the truth to each other. And so often we are told today, don't talk about politics or religion. Those are off the table. But we have to talk about politics and religion. We have to talk about differing opinions, and we seem to have lost the ability to do so without taking it personally, right? Everything has become so personal today. So I'd love to know your take on how to honor first of all, our identity of who we are, and others' identity while being mindful in these conversations that might trigger deep-seated issues in people that bring things up. I'll kind of put a period on it there and let you take over.
Right. Well, first of all, we are in an unprecedented time in our lifetime, because not only are we dealing with a novel pandemic, global pandemic, which is something we've never experienced in our lifetime, but so much is coming to the surface. We have the pandemic, we have the Black Lives Matter movement, we have the political conversations, we have so much that has sort of erupted, if you will.
Yes.
And we are with it. And there is nowhere else to be than with it.
Yes.
So when we say things like, let's not talk about this and let's not talk about that, well, guess what? The more you say that, the more you're going to have to talk about it. Because we really cannot not talk about the elephants that are in the room. And we don't have just an elephant in the room. We have a lot of elephants in the room. Do you know?
Yes.
So when it comes to mindfulness, just the basic essence of mindfulness is being in the present moment with total awareness. Mm-hmm. And I would say this about the understanding of mindfulness and the practice of being present is that if ever there was a time for us to be aware and awake and to heighten our awareness, which will then raise our consciousness, is now. Yes. For the very reasons, John, of what you're saying. That we have all of these things that we have got to deal with. We can't push them away. We can't pretend that they're not in our face, because they are. And so where mindfulness, as far as applying mindfulness to these very heated conversations that we need to have right now, for me personally, the practice of mindfulness gives you an awareness of how you want to speak to another. And for me, what I like to say is it's the art of discourse. Yes. We need to be able to communicate with one another without saying right off the top, and I think you and I talked about it for a little bit before we went live, is that this is not about you have to agree with me and I have to agree with you, because invariably we're not going to agree on a lot of things. Really where the work is how are we going to navigate our differences? How are we going to navigate where we are polarized so that we can come to an understanding of the sacred truths of the universe, you know, and not let the dissent, the disruption, the friction, the prejudices, the judgments that we are holding against each other get in the way of a higher awareness that we need to have right now on the planet.
You know, I agree, and it seems to me that this sense of anger and that we take things so personally come from an idea of our stories, our personal stories around who we are and how we identify. That our identities and our personal stories of our past traumas and therefore who we are now and today and what we're defending about ourselves, they become our beliefs and they become our thought police to a certain degree. Our beliefs and our identity then limit our ability to see possibility in conversation with others. So how do we bring mindfulness to bear in a conversation with someone that we disagree with, and yet honor their opinions? I'm reminded of Thomas Paine. I believe it was Thomas Paine who said, I disagree with you wholeheartedly, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. This is the aspect of democratic speech and communication that we must bring forth, but with a new level of understanding of mindfulness and the universal truth of our oneness with Source. So
Absolutely. Think of it. Let's just say this. Think of how powerful it is to, try and just imagine what it would mean to sit with somebody that you perceive as an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
If you already go into a situation where you're perceiving the other as your enemy, imagine how you need to be tested and how you're going to handle that. Because there are so many premeditative judgments that we have towards anybody that we perceive as our enemy. We are already bringing so much to that. So it's okay to be angry. Everybody has a right to feel the emotions that they're feeling.
Yes.
What I say in my first book, Says Who, behind every emotion is a thought. So if you're feeling really worked up, if you're really angry, you're really triggered, I would ask yourself, what are the thoughts that are causing the anger? What are the thoughts that you're harboring that are making you feel resentment towards someone?
Mm-hmm.
Those are things we need to connect within ourselves. I think that we're not going to be able to really come together as a unified consciousness, if you will, unless we can sit with who we perceive as our enemy and sit down and talk so that we can really understand the narratives, the stories, the beliefs that we have maybe accumulated that have kept us feeling as though we are not friends, but we are adversaries, that we are enemies. We need to learn how to sit with what we perceive as our enemy and learn how to make them our friend.
This is so beautiful. I'm reminded of Martin Luther King Jr.'s statement to his protesters. He said, if we are successful in our endeavor, the people that we're protesting against will be our neighbors. That's victory.
Beautiful. To me, therein lies the meditation. When I talk about meditation, I talk about formal meditation, sitting in the lotus position on a yoga mat or a meditation pillow. I'm talking about meditation out into the world.
Yes.
Everything is a mindful meditation.
Yes.
Every single thing we do, every act, every deed, every behavior, every action. And when you feel yourself the most challenged, when you feel that trigger in your body and you feel that hatred percolating up inside you, that you just want to speak from that place, to be able to be aware of the very things that you're feeling. I feel angry towards this person. I feel resentment towards this person. I even feel hate towards this person. That's your meditation. You want to be with that. You want to be able to sit with that and go, what is that about? Where am I coming from? Where is it living inside me? What is fueling my feelings of hatred and resentment and judgment towards this person? When you are aware of where that is being fueled from, and as you say, whatever stories and narratives you have, has that kept your anger and resentment alive for you? We are really being asked to step up in a way right now that is quite powerful, I feel. Yeah. We are being asked to rise as the human beings that perhaps Martin Luther King quoted about, all the great people that walk these paths before us. It's not like suddenly things are happening that haven't happened before. Yes, there have been epidemics and there have been pandemics, but I'm talking about all the other things that are going on that are creating a great divide between us in our humanity. We have been there before, so we should listen to the leaders that came before us that spoke from a place of wisdom and love.
I love, first of all, the idea that everything is a meditation, right? The intention of meditation, yoga, ceremony is always to bring the meditation, excuse me, I'm so sorry, to bring the meditation, the yoga, to bring the meditation off the cushion, the yoga off the mat, or the ceremony off the mattress, right? And into our lives.
Exactly.
And
you take that that and go out into the world and then see who you are.
Yes.
Go see who you are.
And the other piece that I love is just the awareness of being with what's present for me. Why do I hate this person? Or
Right.
why is there anger coming up for me? And if I'm, are you say? I guess what you are pointing to is the truth that in bringing our awareness to that, we get to. I see Tammy just talked about alchemy. We get to transform the leaden heaviness of that energy into the golden light of
Absolutely.
oneness and realization of our. So it just gives us a little space.
That is where true transformation happens. That is where the alchemy happens. That is that you are transcending the denser, more, baser levels. It's almost like too often I say we live in a place that we're trying to constantly protect our survival, that we're not allowing ourselves to take it higher. I understand the animal instincts to feel threatened. I get it, but you have to stop functioning from the reptilian brain. You have to take it higher and say, this isn't about that I'm looking at my enemy, that they're threatening to my survival, even though I may genuinely feel that way, that you're a threat to my survival. How can I come towards this person who I do feel is a threat to my survival, or I do feel I hate, or I do feel is my enemy? And how can I really access, which is the alchemical transformation of hatred to love? That is powerful stuff. If you can rise higher in that type of alchemy, you are functioning on a whole other level of consciousness.
Yes.
I feel, unfortunately, not in a judgmental way, but that we are functioning too much on a denser level of consciousness, which is why we have all of this chaos. And I do believe that chaos, there is the calm after the storm. I get that. But I think that if we can take it higher, we're not going to be so at the effect of all the chaos, all the noise that we're experiencing right now.
Yes. And the beginning of not being at the effect of that is the first bringing awareness to it. And there's something mystical and magical that happens in the awareness. So now I've brought some awareness. I'm being with my anger. I'm seeing that I might feel that there's an existential threat to my way of life, my way of being by another's idea. But now, what is the next step in actually engaging conversation? How am I girding myself as I prepare for that conversation?
I think that when one really commits to a mindfulness practice, and that means we wake up every day wanting to show up in the present moment with awareness, acceptance, non-judgment, love, gratitude. These are the aspirations that we begin our day from. I don't think you can just turn it on and turn it off like a switch. I think we have to really develop our spiritual awareness. I can hope for the best that for somebody who hasn't really understood what it means to be present with awareness, non-judgment, self-love for self, and love for other. This is what we need to develop. We are really functioning from a level of non-spirituality in so many ways. So my wish is that people really, begin to cultivate a mindfulness practice in their lives, to learn what it means to be present, to learn what it means to show up, to learn what it means that I'm about to go into a conversation with somebody who I feel very antithetical to I feel very opposed to, and that I might even hold or harbor feelings of hatred. If you're not developed in the practice of mindfulness, which I really encourage all of us to do and take it seriously, then allow yourself to be in the moment, even if you have to take a couple of breaths. If you need the sort of, and I don't believe in drive-through spirituality development. I really don't. But I know I'm talking to people out there that might be very versed in mindfulness, and those that are not, and that's okay. But when you stop and you are present and you have an awareness that I am here, I am alive, I can feel my breath rising and falling, I'm about to go speak to somebody who I may perceive as my enemy. Let me connect to my heart let me go deeper into my heart so that when I enter into this union, even with my enemy, I can speak from a place of love and compassion. You know, it's work, people. It's work. But we deserve to give that to each other. Yes. We really deserve it. We deserve to give it to ourselves, and we deserve it to give it to our brothers and our sisters that share this planet with us.
Yes. You know, and as you were saying, this isn't something that, you know, we turn off and on. It's predicated on a consistent practice.
Yes, a commitment to the understanding of a more divine consciousness on this planet. We're players on this planet.
Yes.
How do we want to see this play out?
So you know, obviously there's lots of ways to connect. For those of us who are on this path and perhaps have, you know, as I shared with you earlier, I came to a deep understanding. I'm going to have a little water too. There are many people who have been on this path much longer than I. But for the last 10 years, I've been really working with Michael Beckwith at Agape and studying and working on many other modalities. And then my years at Rythmia and working with plant medicine, clearly committed to being aware, you know, thinking about what I'm thinking about and bringing that awareness out into my life and living a life in love and a life that's fully self-expressed and operating not on the me plan but on the we plan. I've been working on that, and yet, you know, it's infinite. We're never done. But I was very surprised to see in myself, in my communication with people, whether it was just having a friendly conversation with someone in my workspace or with my family, that even though I had all that awareness, I meditate every day, I pray, I take classes, I study, I drink medicine, I do all of these things, right? And I still had this undercurrent of the energy underneath my communication in political conversations or even religious conversations or spiritual conversations was I really wish that they would just capitulate to my point of view. And the best outcome of the conversation would be if they said, you know what, you're right. I'm completely wrong. You're completely right. I now think just like you. That's what I really wanted. And I wasn't aware of that, right, underneath. And I've been doing the work for a little while. So for those of us that have been on the path for a while, and those that have been on the path much longer than I, and those who are new on the path, so because we all have lots of work to do, would you share with us some processes or techniques that you might recommend for us to anchor on a daily basis into that realization of oneness and connectedness with others, so that when we step into those conversations, we have that funding us?
Right. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing your story. That's very honest of you. And I think that a lot of people feel that way. That is an act of willfulness. And so what I ask all of us really is the question of, what do I want from you? What is it that I want from you? Do I want something from you? Do I need something from you? Do you know? I mean, if we ask ourselves, who am I? What do I want and need from myself? If that's clear to me, then it's going to be clear what is it that I want and need from you. I can answer personally that what I want and need from you is stemming from a place of love. I want us to be in the flow of the truth of the universe, and some people might think that's just so out there or, new age. And I don't care, because the fact is the truths of the universe are really based on sacred truths.
Yes.
And it's as if we're being forced to live life as a lie. Now I know we're here for a reason, and we're doing here, this is planet school here. This is life school. So we're learning a lot of stuff while we're here. And in as much as I'd love to leave the house every day in some altered state of consciousness, which my new book that I just completed, Mindfulness and Mysticism, nice. I really explore the idea of going into more of the altered states of consciousness. But there are many levels of consciousness that people are at. And again, no judgment, but we really have to come to the understanding that if we are connected to that place in us that feels as though it is, and I say we're much more powerful as a we than a me, yes, as you described, using we as well. If I can live my life every day and I can connect that way, then I am really bringing the best of myself out to whoever I'm coming into contact with and whatever situation I find myself in. So as far as just, John, just some practical tips and tools, if you will, because I know that we can talk this way and it sounds really beautiful, as does, I believe, the true wisdom of our lives sounds very beautiful. How do we apply it? There's a quote that I like very much by the French philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin.
Oh, I love Desjardins.
So if you know the quote, it is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Yes. If we don't connect to our spiritual self, what I like to say is wake up every day taking your spiritual pulse. Where are you at? Where is your spirit? Where is your heart? Where is your soul? And I say that's first thing in the morning. You wake up in the morning. Most people, they just jump out of bed like a ball out of a cannon. And a lot of people are in bed with their phones. Like that's one of their lovers is their phone or their device, Okay, I mean, we're connected in ways to devices and technology that we need to oftentimes turn off. And so what I say, first thing in the morning, from the minute you wake up, from the minute you open your eyes, connect to the gratitude that you're alive one more day.
Yes.
Just be in gratitude that you're breathing, that you're alive one more day. If you just connect to that, you think you're going to be fueled by hate? You think you're like, oh, yeah, I am so connected. I feel my heart rising and falling. I feel my connection to the universe. I feel that I am a part of the speck of the infinitesimal, eternal vastness of the universe that includes all of us. And then I get out of bed and I'm like, ugh. That really pissed me off, what I just, saw on the news, or this person's really pissing me off because they're on the left side or the right side of politics. Well, you see how you could go from this to completely go into reactive mode.
Yes.
I mean, this is about non-reactivity. Again, I know we're having the human experience, as Teilhard de Chardin says. But we got to connect way more with our spirit and not be at the effect of the human propensities that we have, the tendencies that we have to get so animalistic in our humanness that there we go back on the hamster wheel again and again about acting out, reacting, and not coming from a place of love. This is the discipline of the mind, John. Yes, this is disciplining the mind. If you're going to be led by the monkey mind and you're going to be led by thoughts that pull you around like you're a dog on a leash, then you're going to be constantly at the effect of whatever emotion you're feeling. This takes practice. This takes commitment. If we want to get anywhere in this grand cosmic universe, we're going to have to learn some serious skills right now to be able to function in this way with one another.
I think, you point so beautifully to the reactivity. I used to call myself Reaction Jackson. There was an old G.I. Joe figure, right? When I was a kid, there was G.I. Joe, and then there was Action Jackson, which was the sort of ethnic version of the G.I. Joe.
I love your sharing. I love your honesty. We're human, and guess what? We're going to get triggered. We're going to react. We're going to do all these things. Where mindfulness comes into play
Yes.
is catching it.
Yes.
There I go. There I go. I'm going on automatic. I'm about to say something that's about to leave my lips that I wish I hadn't said. I'm about to judge somebody before I really open my heart to hear what they have to say. Okay? That is the mindful awareness of catching it. We got to be like this, because we are going to go into reactivity, and we're going to go into triggering, and we're going to go into judging. It's just, that's automatic. What we want to know is how to deal with it. What happens when that happens? I don't tell people, even somebody who writes books on positive psychology, if you will, in mindfulness, I'm not going to say to somebody, you're never going to have a negative thought again. You're never going to be angry again. You're never going to react again. That's just not real.
Right.
But what I will say is there's a whole hell of a lot you can do with it.
There is, I think, a study done about the chemical release from the pituitary gland when we're in reaction. Like, reaction is a biological function. Something happens, and an external stimuli, and we react, and toxic or tonic chemicals are released in the pituitary gland, and we can experience anger, we can experience fear, we can experience all the levels of emotion and reactivity. But those chemicals are only viable in the system for about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, right? So it's okay to react, right? React, have your reaction. But if you're going longer than 2 minutes, you're just milking it. I think it's.
You really are, and if you're a real adrenaline junkie, if you're somebody who really needs to get yourself all worked up, and then you're so worked up, you're getting more worked up, then you're going to be caught up in that whole high, if you will, on adrenaline. But ask yourself what kind of high you want to be high on. Do you know what I mean? Do you want to be, all jacked up on high out of anger? You talk about Rythmia in the beginning. When you have experienced, the sacred, and you have, glimpsed what your version or interpretation of the divine is, or oneness, or unity consciousness, as far as the chemicals in the brain and the whole neuroscientific aspect of the chemicals that are constantly firing up in those neurons in the brain, what kind of high do you want to be experiencing? Because you can go super high, and that high can be very exquisite, but not a type of high that's fueled by adrenaline that's spiked out of hatred.
Yes.
That's not the high I'm talking about.
And I feel that one way to become aware of our reactivity is to almost to pre-examine your triggers, right? Like, I know that I get triggered when I speak with my sister, who's evangelical Christian. I know that I get triggered when we have a conversation. So I'm going to prepare as I get ready to go home this weekend to have a conversation with her, and know that, in my thinking about it and my realization that I love her and that she loves me, I can prepare to not react, because I know that when she says, I don't know who you're praying to, yeah, I'm not so sure, right? I'm going to react. Right?
Listen, of course you can prepare yourself. You can definitely prepare yourself. But that doesn't exclude the fact that you're probably going to be triggered, do you know?
Right.
So you can look at this in stages. You can look at observation versus reactivity in stages, which really gives you the permission to not be hard on yourself if you go into reactive mode.
Okay.
So an example, like with your sister, it would be like, this is my intention. I'm setting my intention. My intention is that I don't want to get into a fight with my sister. I don't want to react to her. I'd really love to be able to sit with her and be able to talk so that we don't hold harsh judgments of each other, and we're accepting of our own different viewpoints or even beliefs, for that matter. Do you know? So you're already setting that intention, which is a great beginning. Okay? Then you find yourself in the physical space with another human being, and there's an energy that we put out. If I have very strong opinions one way and the person I'm sitting across has specific ideas, beliefs, or whatever, their way, there's already energy in the room. There's already this tension between our energies. Yes. So the work that I have to do is to be aware of the energy that I'm holding. What's the energy in my body? Because I can't control her energy or your energy. I can't control her thoughts or his thoughts that are creating the energy that they're holding in their body.
Bring it
back. But I
certainly
can deal with my own. So even, it's really fascinating. And I call it like you're riding the wave. It's so powerful. It's so powerful to literally be in a space with another person where you can feel that every fiber of your being is like, it's so reactive and you are so triggered and you're feeling the fight or flight feeling, to be able to go, ooh, I am really with this right now. And by the way, not only can you say this to yourself silently, but I think the beauty and the transparency of what's going on with each other is if you and I were really with it, with each other, and I could say, you know what, John, wow, I am really feeling a lot of energy in my body right now towards you. And I want to work through this with you. I don't want to feel this energy for you. I don't want to have the thoughts that I'm feeling about you, that I'm thinking about you. I want to really move the energy, in a place that's really more from a place of love than reactivity. If I said that to somebody, and I'm very outspoken, and I'm a truth junkie, and I love to what's going on with you? Because let me tell you what's going on with me. Can we connect? Can we come together knowing that we're doing this with each other? How are we going to take this so that at the end of it, we can hug with love and say, I still love you. And it's okay if you believe in this God and I believe in that God. And it's okay if you are religious and I am not, and I'm spiritual and not religious. It's okay. I don't need to change you, but I don't want you to try and change me either. And that's acceptance, and that's the great problems that we have with religion. Yes. That's the great problems that we have with politics. That's the great problems that we have with a lot of the constructs of the agreements in the way in which we live. I'm this, and this is right, so therefore you're wrong.
Correct. I love what you said, Ora, that what a great way to just completely break the energy by saying, I'm feeling this, and I don't want to feel this way towards you. How can we get past this? That completely shifts the dynamic in the midst of a conversation that can become very heated. What a great tool. What a great tool.
I think there could be a lot of monotony, because if you're really in a heated conversation with two people that are really antithetically opposed to each other, and there's this real wedge between you, invariably, two people are going to try to bring each other over to each other's side. It's like what you said earlier. I really want you to agree with me. I want you to believe what I believe, And can we accept the fact that we don't want something from each other? Why do I need you to believe what I believe?
Yes.
I mean, it's insane that so much of the insanity that's on the planet is that people from different beliefs and different races and different creeds are trying to hate and kill each other because they don't agree.
Right.
It's insane.
Couldn't agree more. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this conversation. Rafat had a question that I just feel we need to answer before we close. He says, how about people who feel broken? And my thought on this is the consciousness that heals is the consciousness that sees wholeness. It doesn't matter what my interlocutor is feeling, but if I see them as whole, that's the energy that heals. How would you respond in these conversations to Rafit's question about people who feel broken when you're trying to relate to them and connect with them?
Feelings for people that feel broken in their own hearts? Yes. Is this what they're referring to?
Yes.
For me, anybody that feels broken in their hearts deserves nothing but compassion.
Oh, beautiful.
Nothing else. That's it. Love and compassion. If I know that your heart is breaking, I want to love you even more.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love you. I'm so grateful for this conversation.
I love our conversation.
I know. We'll have to do it again. And hopefully at Rythmia.
Why not? That would be wonderful.
I'm so thankful for the generosity of your time, for your wisdom, for your sharing, for the beautiful books that you've brought forth, and your latest book that you've brought forth, and who you are in the world. You are truly a beneficial presence, and I'm grateful for you.
Thank you, John, and thank you for holding space so beautifully for both of us today.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you, everybody, next week, Monday, for Evolutionary Conversations at the same time. Ora, thank you again. Have a beautiful day. Be well and healthy, and many blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.